What do you feed steers? Well, that's a great question, and thank you for asking. When it comes to feeding steers and raising steers, there's a lot of different things you can feed them, a lot of different ways you can feed them, and overall just there's a lot of variation in the way that you can raise a steer. A lot of large-scale operations nowadays feed high-protein, high-carb diets of corn silage, corn, soybeans, all the above, some of the above, depending on the farmer. Those operations are what's known as a feedlot. Now, a lot of people nowadays are really hating against feedlots because it's cruel and inhumane to raise an animal that way in a tight, packed environment. I see that side of the argument, but at the end of the day, only 3% of the world's population is feeding the world. There's less and less farmland every year, less and less farmers every year, but more and more people every year, and we still have to raise food. And so that's right now is the most efficient way for a farmer to make money while still raising a lot of beef. So if you eat beef, most likely a lot of it is coming from that. So say what you want about feedlots, but they are a very important part to our economy and our food chain. Us, on the other hand, we don't do feedlot mainly because we don't live in Kansas and we don't have 300 acres to put crops and pastures and pens on. We have 50 acres. 20 of it is in farm ground, and then we got about 7 or so acres here of pasture. Pretty much the way that we raise our steers is we have 4 or 5 every year that we raise. They eat grass pretty much all year long, but mainly in the summer when the grass is constantly growing. Right now, it's still sort of growing, but it's about to go into its dormant stage where it really won't grow that much. Now, since the grass is about to go dormant, the pastures aren't going to create the tonnage that they do during the spring, summer, and early fall, meaning that we have to supplement the feed somehow. As you can see, these guys are pretty hungry because the grass ain't growing that much and they're out of hay. This is actually junk hay that we were making for horses that didn't turn out very well, but it's going to make great steer hay. We also have some alfalfa over here that we made off of our fields that, again, we were making for horses, but it was fifth cutting and it just couldn't get dry enough. So it's got a little bit of musty and moldy in it, but it doesn't affect steers. They love it. They'll eat it like candy. And then finally, we have some real nice big bales of grass hay that we made that it's just real awesome stuff. We're going to feed it to these guys, and that's what we're going to feed them throughout the winter. Now, the way that we raise steers is we raise them strictly on grass and hay. We don't give them any grains like corn or soybeans. We don't give them any stock or feed. That's just our personal preference, because around here we sell all of our beef locally, and our customer base, they just want the grass-fed healthy beef. That's what they want. So that's what we're going to raise for them. Personally, I think corn-fed beef tastes better. Grass-fed beef is a leaner beef and it has a different taste. I also really love it because I like beef in general, but it is a different taste than corn-fed beef. But it's all personal preference. This is the way we raise them. This is also the most efficient way for us to raise them. We don't have to buy any feed. We don't have to raise any corn or grain. Most of our acres is in hay, grass and alfalfa, which we actually raise for horses. So that's another income stream for our farm. And then, like every haymaker, you have hay that doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to. And then we end up turning that into steer feed, which is just, it works out perfectly. So far for this year, I don't think we'll have to buy any feed. We might have to buy a little bit, but most of our feed we made ourselves and we won't have to buy any. But that's just how we do it. We like grass-fed beef just because that's what our customer base wants. And it's the most efficient way that we raise beef and feed them here on our farm. So of course, it's up to you to figure out what's the best way, what's the most efficient way, what your customers want. A lot of other guys in the area, they raise beef. They'll put them on pasture, they'll feed them hay, but they'll also feed them grain and a whole bunch of stuff, try to fatten them up quick, take them to the sales barn and do it that way. There's no right or wrong way to raise beef unless you're like really, really inhumanely raising them, which is a story for another time because everybody has a different opinion on that. Anyway, we like our steers. We care for them the best we can. Some of them like us, some of them don't like us. That's just how the cookie crumbles. It is what it is, but I like them. Anyway, I'm going to continue feeding them. Give them a little bit of alfalfa, a couple slices of grass, and they'll have a nice balanced diet. All right, cool. We'll see you guys in the next one.